Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our weekly office hours. Today, we're going to be focused on how to bring your use or your case studies to life using interactive sales assets. My name is George Soto, one of the co founders here at Asset Mule, joined by my co founder and CEO, Justin Dorfman. And by the way, if you haven't tuned in, this is your first time, thank you so much. If you're a repeat uh, viewer or learner or student, thank you so much for joining us. If you do have any questions as we go through our agenda, so typically what we'll do is we'll sort of set the stage for a use case or a best practice or these sort of things. And then we'll actually dive in to show you in product how to execute what we are talking about. And so if you do have any questions throughout that process, go ahead and comment on the comment wall, uh, provide any feedback. If you do have any sort of other perspectives, we're all in, right? So let us know how we could even make these sessions more useful and better, whether you're wanting to learn about Asset Mule or maybe you're an Asset Mule customer and want to dig in a little deeper and learn one-on-one. This is the time. We're literally live here. And I want to give a shout out to SaaStr. I like my SaaStr hat, Jason Lemkin and the team there. I think I might have gotten this hat. Actually, I was going to say that I got this hat when we met, Justin, but that's not true. We met, a decade ago at the first SaaStr.
I don't think
This
they had
hat
hats
actually,
yet. They had
yeah, I
shirts
don't think
though.
they
I
had
remember getting a cool shirt.
nice. And for the folks out there, Jason had an awesome blog, right? That he was writing all this great content on, and then turned it into what it is today, which is super cool. No, I actually got this hat out now. I remember in Miami, at I think their first or second like SaaStr Miami meetup.
Cool.
In any case, without further ado, folks, again, if you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, I will be monitoring the comments. So go ahead and put those comments, feedback, questions, like the hat, whatever it is, in there, and we'll get to it at the end in our Q&A session. So Justin, why don't you take it away?
Yeah. So this is an interesting topic, and we all know, right? As salespeople and marketers, we all know that social proof is incredibly important in the buyer's journey to add credibility and build trust with our prospects, right? They want to know not just what we do and or what we claim to do and claim that we can deliver to them, but they want to see who else is using the product. They want to see how they're using it, and they want to understand what sort of impact their peers are experiencing with your product, right? And that's the role of case studies, right? And we all have case studies. I think most SaaS companies out there put that as one of the top things on the list when it comes to the content that they want to create for their go-to-market strategy. But on the other side of the coin, if you're a buyer and you're evaluating 10, 15 different solutions, you're getting all these case studies sent your way. A lot of them are very heavy text-based sort of case studies, long form written pieces of content. And the question for the salesperson or the marketer, the product marketer maybe supporting the salesperson, is how do we get our case studies to stand out, right? How do we rise above all these case studies that are being sent to the buyer and really get them to engage and get them to sort of buy into our story and understand how our customers are benefiting and how they potentially could benefit. And that's where I think interactive sales assets can really come into play. And by the way, this idea was not something that we came up with ourselves. This was actually inspired by somebody that we met, Jeff over at Vitally, Jeff Chase, who is an incredible product marketer, really innovative in how he thinks about using interactive demos. And he introduced us to these things that they call blueprints, right? That they have on their website. So if you go to vitally.io, and I think it might be /blueprints, but in their resources section, you'll find the blueprints section. They've basically created all these case study / how-to guides, but with customer success stories at the center. And in each one of those, they have an interactive demo, a Novatic interactive demo, actually, so that you don't just read about what these customers are doing with their product, but you actually can check out like a workflow, right, of like how they're using the product and see it live and in action. And I think that's the key difference here is buyers want to be shown what people are doing. They don't want to just be told. They want to see, they want to feel, they want to get a sort of visual of what that product looks like in the hands of the customer. And that inspired our own interactive case study template that we'll walk through today. So what we'll walk you through today is how you can very quickly and easily create a interactive case study that doesn't just tell your prospects how your customers are using your product and benefiting from it and the results they're experiencing, but actually can show them. And as with all interactive assets, as they're engaging with those assets, as they're checking out the interactive demos and clicking through the various pieces, you're getting signals as well, right? You're able to track when they're engaging and determine which accounts and which prospects your message is resonating with. So without further ado, let's dive in and I'll give you guys a tour of this template. And we can talk a little bit more about this at the end, but all these templates, right, are free to get started using, right? If you go to our website, assetmule.ai/templates, you'll be able to see every template that we have in our product. We can talk a little bit about our pricing model, but we have a free forever tier that allows you to have 3 live assets at any given time. So if you want to try out these case study templates and build your own interactive one and see how it works, you can do that for absolutely free. And give us your feedback as you do it. We're always looking to improve the product. But for those that aren't familiar with Asset Mule, I'll do a quick sort of overview of what the product is, just 1 minute sort of summary. But basically, this platform allows mostly product marketing and sales teams in the SaaS world to create interactive, personalized, and trackable sales assets in minutes, right? And we do that by giving you a library of templates that you can build from. And you'll see here anything from one-pagers, excuse me, to the case studies that we'll walk through today, interactive competitive comparison pages, sales decks, proposals. We're continuing to build out this library. So if you do want to see something in here that's not in here yet, either DM us or if you're watching live, add a comment on the comment board. But you can also create your own custom templates as well. And we do that by having a library of pre-designed components. So think about like pricing tiers and competitive comparison tables and things like that you can just drag and drop onto a canvas and sort of assemble your assets without needing designers or anything like that. But as I mentioned today, we're going to dive into the interactive case study use case and template. And you'll see actually we have 3 different case study templates here. The case study template is just sort of images, sort of more plain text. The case study with video leverages, as it mentions, video, right? So if you have a video of the customer giving you a testimonial, or if you have a product demo video, you can embed it in that version of the template. And then the one that we'll walk through today is the interactive case study. So this includes an interactive demo or a embed component that allows you to embed an interactive demo, again, so that you can show your prospects how your customers are using your product, not just tell them. So if you want to use this template, all you have to do is copy the template, and now you can make it your own. And you can start adding your content to it, and in minutes, just build out your interactive case study. So you'll see just going top to bottom, it's personalized from the get-go. So you can add, a prospect logo, or in this case, actually with the interactive case study, usually what we're doing here is putting the customer that the case study is about over here, and then your company here. So it's, an example, HubSpot loves Asset Mule if it was our case study, right? So you can sort of start there. And then, just start filling in the content, how customer achieved whatever results with your solution. And then, as I mentioned, you have the ability to actually embed a interactive demo here, whether you're using Novatic or you're using Storylane, Howdy Go, Walnut, Reprise, any of these demos, what they do provide you is actually an embed code that, we've seen these embedded on websites and things like that, right? And you can use that to embed them in our embed code components so that you can render those interactive demos right in the asset, and your prospects can take a tour of that demo. And I'll give you an example of one of our case studies in a second, fully filled out and so on. But going down, you then have sort of the challenge that the customer face, and maybe a quote associated with that challenge. The solution that you brought to the table to help them solve this challenge, right? Your product, essentially. And again, a quote on that. The results that they experience by using your product, and maybe some key stats or performance metrics that you can highlight here. And then sort of an overarching quote that sort of sums up the story, right? And then finally, at the bottom, we have another interactive element, another embed code component, but this time we've got the Calendly calendar, and it can be Chili Piper, it can be HubSpot calendar. All these tools provide, again, very similar to the interactive demo, an embed code that you can paste in here so that anybody you're sending this to, or your sales team is sending this to, can actually book a meeting, right? And sort of schedule a demo and see how the product will work for them and their use case, right? Right from the asset. No calendar ping pong anymore over email. It all can be done in the asset. So that's really it. And I think the key things to sort of highlight here again is one, this is pretty short, right? It's pretty much to the point. And I think that's a mistake a lot of us make with a lot of our content, is it's a lot of text. It's too heavy. In this day and age, people's attention spans are just so short. And again, if you think about it from the buyer's perspective, they're probably getting at least one case study from every solution provider that they're evaluating. So they may be getting 5, 10 different case studies, right? That, we're expecting them to read if they're, long form content. So in this case, it's really to the point. It's just highlighting the challenges, and it's also putting the customer first, right? With quotes everywhere, and really making it their story as much as it is the story for your solution. But then the most important point, as I mentioned at the beginning, is we're showing them how the customer used the product, not just telling them, right? We've got the interactive demo that actually shows their usage of the product. And to bring this to life, let me walk you through a version that we created with this template for our own case study. And our customer is Parsable. This is an awesome company doing amazing things in the manufacturing space with digitizing workflows and so on, and really automating and providing insights and data on manufacturing processes. And they actually use Asset Mule for outbound, right? So they have a set of target account lists that their BDR team is reaching out to. And as we all have noticed, response rates and outbound has become really, really challenging. Response rates have sort of really dropped, and conversion rates even more so, to book meetings. And they started using Asset Mule to power this process, where they were actually creating these personalized interactive assets, one-pagers essentially, that they were using for their outbound. And they were seeing a huge uptick in conversion rate. You'll see a 33% conversion rate to book meetings by having these personalized interactive sales assets versus the traditional text-based emails and PDFs, right? So we tell this story right here, and again, we show them the workflow and how to go ahead and create outbound templates and embed them in your emails for outreach, and track engagement and all that great stuff through a Innovatic interactive demo right in the assets. And then just continuing down, we highlight the problem, again, very text light, highlight the solution, the results that they were experiencing, front and center, right? And quotes, really to bring that to life, make the customer hear the sort of core of the story, and put them front and center. And then finally, again, the calendar to make it really easy for anybody that this resonates with to schedule time with us and chat about it more, dive into their use case, see how Asset Mule can work for them, show them our outbound templates and so on that were used for this use case. So when I use this, I go ahead and before I always like to preview just to make sure everything looks good here. And you'll see when we do preview it, it gives you a little bit of a view what it's going to look like. It pulls in, if I'm the owner of this asset, the person sending it to my prospect, it's going to pull in my name and my image, give it a little bit of a personal feel here, but also add this book a meeting button so that in addition to that calendar at the bottom, as they scroll through, they always have the ability to book a meeting with me one click away. And then when I'm ready, I go ahead and share this with the prospect. There's 3 options here. You can share it as a link. You can share it as a link in a screenshot. My favorite and the sort of the most popular with our customers is this link in animated screenshot. And all you have to do is click it, copies it to your clipboard. And then when you reach out to your prospect here, you just paste that into the email, and you'll see here in a second, it gives this nice scroll through of the asset. They can kind of get a preview of what it looks like. It's really interactive, engaging, and that generally drives that traffic to the page so that they can take a look at the case study. And when they do that, as you'll see, it's a live page, right, that they can scroll through and really interact with. They can take a look at that interactive demo and really get a feel for the story here and the products. They can sort of scroll through, take a look at everything here. And then when they're ready, they can either, book a meeting using the calendar embed in here, or book a meeting by clicking the book a meeting button. And what's really awesome about all of this is you're sending this case study out to all these different prospects and so on. Generally speaking, when you're sending PDFs, you're not really getting much in terms of insights on who's engaging and how they're engaging with that piece of content. Maybe you're using something like HubSpot or one of the sales engagement tools, so you are getting some tracking that they opened your email, but that's about sort of and maybe even that they clicked on the link, right? But that's about the level of insight or intent that you're getting. But with Asset Mule, you're also getting that notification that somebody just viewed the asset, as you'll see here. You can see in real time that somebody from San Francisco, California viewed that parsable case study asset. But also within Asset Mule, now you get this real time sort of full timeline of all the things that they did on the page. They maybe viewed the asset, then they clicked on the embed in the 3rd section, which was that interactive demo. They then clicked on the embed in the 9th section, which was the book a meeting or Calendly calendar, and then the book a meeting button. And if you had other call to action buttons or videos embedded in there or other interactive elements, you would get a record of them engaging with those. And maybe then you start to see people viewing the asset from a different unique identifier here, or maybe even a different location. And you're starting to see, my champion who's based in San Francisco sent it to their colleague over in Miami, or over, another colleague in Colorado checked it out, and so on. And that now we can start to see what's happening behind closed doors as that buying process is being played out, that now we don't have visibility into as, in this remote culture that we're living in. So you're getting all those intent signals, you're seeing who's engaged, and you can determine who to prioritize in your follow-up, what else to send them if, they're interacting with certain elements, videos and things like that. Maybe you sort of add some more stuff in there, or more case studies and so on. But that's really the walkthrough of the template and the workflow here. And again, just to restate, give this a go for yourself, right? Just don't take it from us. You'll see, again, in that template, it's very easy, very quick to just populate it with your content, get it out there, get your sales team starting to send it, and see if that increases engagement and conversions and ultimately close one business. But let's pause here for some questions.
Yeah, so a couple things that came to mind, Justin, as I was watching this and just thinking through this. So, the first thing is that, to your point, and our experience, and I'd be happy to, or interested rather, in hearing folks out there if you've had this similar sort of experience, which is when it comes to case studies, there's either really one or 2 options that I have as a sales rep. So the first one is I have some static PDF. Again, don't want to poo-poo too much on PDFs, but they are what they are. And it's sort of generic and all the things that you said, right? But that's the reality. And then I attach this thing, to an email and I send them a generic thing. But then a lot of the time, what I would do is take pieces of it. Because again, if I am a skillful craftsman as a salesperson, I am putting relevant information together, right? Why would I not do that? I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. Like, I mean, that's the point. Otherwise, what's the point of a salesperson, right? So what I would do is take pieces of that PDF and then cobble stuff together, and it either doesn't look great or it takes a long time because I have to get help to put it together, and I don't usually get help to do so. So it's just really not a great experience. And ultimately, we have to put these things together for the prospect. Again, a relevant, customized, personalized experience, right? So that's the first kind of a situation that I've experienced as a salesperson in the past. The other experience is that there were like beautifully designed web pages on our website, but again, still generic. So maybe I can like attach the ability to track using my sales engagement tool or whatever, right? But that only then gives me a click through, and then I don't get any more information outside of that, right? And so again, not a great experience. Then I'm gonna like copy and paste stuff from the website, and because of what I had mentioned earlier, I need something personalized. So this is literally the best of all worlds, right? Where I can put together something that is incredibly personalized, very specific, in a matter of minutes, that is now going to resonate very specifically with that prospect, right? And I don't have to be uh, blocked or beholden to the structure of the PDF or the website, and it can really satisfy the personalization I'm looking for. So those are the situations that frankly I've been in the past. Like maybe there's some innovative organizations out there that might have spreadsheets of information and stuff like that, but now we're getting into like a huge workflow and
Yeah.
information overload and all the issues with that, right?
Yeah, you're totally right. And by the way, when we talk about those two options, the website one, I don't think Asset Mule and this asset specifically replaces it, right? Like SEO, there's SEO value to having a case study section of your website and these nice long form written case studies. And you're thinking about like very top of the funnel, somebody first lands on your website, they're sort of browsing the product, they want to see who else is using it and learn a little bit more about it, right? But that particular asset, again, Asset Mule doesn't replace it. It's definitely great for SEO and sort of very top of the funnel a use case. But when you start seeing salespeople then send that as follow up for like mid funnel, lower funnel, bottom of the funnel, it's not the best use case for that because again, it's longer form. It's really not for that use case, right? It's not personalizable, as you mentioned, George, right? The other scenario, the PDF, 100% we're replacing that. Like I think that's not needed anymore, right? This generic, static, untrackable format. I don't think that has a role in the world today, right? So absolutely, this is what it's replacing. And you reminded me, I didn't show actually one other piece to this, so I'm going to reshare my screen here. And again, when it comes to these PDFs, right, this is just something that you're not able to do, right? So if I go back to that Parsable case study here, let's say in that quote, right, that I have here, it's a great quote, but maybe I'm sending this this case study to a BDR leader, right? And the quote that I have right now is from Parsible's product marketing manager, Chris. We love him, right? But maybe that's not going to resonate the most with the person that I'm sending this to, which is a BDR manager. The ability to then access this snippet library, right? And the library of quotes here, and maybe sort of filter by a different persona like business development, right? And see that we have another quote from Parsible, but from their head of business development, right? That's going to resonate with my buyer much more, right? And be able to personalize this story to a particular persona. And that's not just quotes, right? It could be there are other stats that are worth highlighting, or other images or challenges or another angle to this story, right? And what's great about Asset Mule is the product marketer, whoever is creating these case studies, can save multiple options for each of these components, right? Multiple quotes, multiple product images, multiple interactive demos even, right? That the salesperson can then choose from and swap in and out to give this case study maybe the angle that's going to resonate most with that particular prospect that they're going to send it. Again, in both the cases that you mentioned, the website version of a case study and the PDF version, this is just not possible. And that's a really, really powerful point that I'm glad you highlighted so that we could show it.
Well, there's another theme that I want to point out, which is a fundamental truth. I don't want to go sit on a soapbox or pontificate, but I've always talked about these fundamental truths that exist in sales, no matter what kind of sale that you're engaged in, right? And in my opinion, one of the fundamental truths is the idea that at the very top of the funnel, right? Now, I know there's going to be folks out there who have other funnel designs or whatever, that's fine. But just at the top of the funnel, you have a wider top, right? So you're going wider. Now, this is a fundamental truth that as you start to go through your sales motion, you're going to have less prospects. You're going to be, hopefully, somewhere between the top-ish or middle of the funnel, you've really done great qualification and discovery. And now you should be being more focused, right? Now you should be more targeted. You should have more information and start to cut the fat. And so if you think about us as product marketer, I'm saying us as product marketer. I feel like a product marketer-ish at this point. But if you do think about the messaging and positioning and all these sort of things that product marketers or marketers put together, these are not different stories. You have some core stories, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin. You're obviously well versed in this, given you've actually technically held this role. But you have this messaging, positioning, these sort of things, and then you got to think about, okay, well, how do I actually take this much larger narrative or story, messaging, positioning, and then start to kind of repackage it for certain stages of the buyer journey or certain channels and these sort of things. Now, they shouldn't be, at least in my opinion, far deviations or different stories. And so what I'm getting to with this is that you might have on the website a wider case study, but it is your job as the salesperson to start to take pieces of that now and then consolidate it, focus it, make it more personalized and relevant to your prospect based on all the great work you're doing as a salesperson. So again, this is a fundamental truth where you are slowly getting more and more focused and more relevant, right? And so this is a great way to do this in an interactive, intelligent, dynamic way. And by the way, you're doing this anyways, right? Or you're attempting to do this when you get off calls as a salesperson, right? And you've just done discovery. You are not writing an email based on every minute or every word that is spoken to in that 45-minute sales call. You are distilling it down to the most impactful, relevant pieces of information and then following up, right? And you're doing this throughout your entire sales motion. Again, we're already doing this. This is a now better, more intelligent way of doing it.
Yeah, and you make a good point. As you get further down the funnel, there's less people, so it's easier to personalize, right? Because you have less people that you're focusing on. But also, as you also pointed out, as you go deeper into the sales process, you have more information. So the ability to personalize, the sort of content material, the insights you have to be able to personalize increases. So I always say, as you get deeper into the sales process, the more personalized your assets should become.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's very top of the funnel marketing that we do, which is awesome, brand building, even further down that we do as an organization, as a marketing organization. And then I know that there is revenue marketing that's supporting sales with sales enablement and even with ABM and all these other mechanisms of doing it in a more scaled way. But you, as a salesperson, your job is to be the most personalized, relevant, focused um, representation of your product and brand, right? So I know we are over by a minute or so here. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. If you are not an Asset Mule user right now, go ahead and sign up. You can go to assetmule.ai. As Justin mentioned, it's free. Kick the tires on it, play with it. Let us know if you like it. If you don't, why you don't. We're constantly trying to make it better. Also, if you're not following us on LinkedIn or YouTube, go ahead and click on the subscribe or follow button, depending on the channel that you're on. And let us know if our content is great or if there's ways to be better. We're, again, trying to add as much content that is valuable to y'all, that inspire you, that fire you up, that educate you, and that make you laugh sometimes. So we probably got to do a little more of that. Maybe I'll look into those gifts and stuff like that. But without further ado, have a wonderful afternoon.